In this question, we are given that last year 26 members of a certain club, they traveled to England, and 26 members traveled to France and 32 members traveled to Italy. Now, we know that this question is from set and tree structure, so let's draw an entity diagram to represent the given data. Now, the first entity here represents the number of members who traveled to England. The second entity here represents the number of travelers to France, and the third entity here represents the number of travelers who traveled to Italy. Now, we are given last year no members of the club traveled to both England and France, and 6 members traveled to both England and Italy. We are also given that 11 members traveled to both France and Italy. So we have to find out how many members of the club traveled to at least one of these countries. Now, what do you understand by the term at least one? This means that we have to find the number of members who traveled to one country plus number of members who traveled to 2 countries and the number of members who traveled to 3 countries. So, let's move on to step 2 and understand the methodology. Here, let's name the regions as A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now here, A represents the number of members who travel to England only. B represents the number of members who travel to France only, and C represents the number of members who traveled to only. Similarly, E represents number of members who traveled to England and France. D represents number of members who traveled to England and Italy. F represents number of members who traveled to France and Italy. And lastly, G represents the number of members who travel to all 3 countries. Now, here, basically what the question is asking us to find the value of A plus B plus C, D plus E plus F plus G. So we have to find the value of this. Now let's move on to step 3 and find the value. We are given that no member of the club traveled to both England and France. This would mean that the value of E is equal to 0. Also, this would imply that the value of G will also be equal to 0. Since G denotes the number of members who travel to all 3 countries, we know that no member traveled to both England and France. So G must be equal to 0. Therefore, if 26 members of a club travel to England, we have A plus D equals 20. Again, 26 travel to France. So, we have B plus F equals 26, and 32 travel to Italy implies that C plus D plus F equals 32. We are given that 6 travel to both England and Italy. This means that the value of D is equal to 6, and 11 travel to both France and Italy. So, F is equal to 11. Now, substituting these values of D and F in the last equation we deduced, we get C is equal to 32 minus D minus F, which equals 32 minus 6 minus 11. This gives us the value of C as 15. Now, since we know the value of D and F, we can find the value of A from the equation A plus D equals 26. This would mean that A equals 26 minus D, or the value of A will be 26 minus 6, which is equal to 20. Again, we can find the value of b using the equation b plus f equals 26. And since the value of f is 11, we have b equals 26 minus 11, which is equal to 15. Hence, the number of members who travel to at least one of these three countries will be equal to 20 plus 20 plus 15 plus 6 plus 11 plus 0 plus 0. This is equal to 67. Hence, the correct answer is option B.